Good morning and welcome back. You're watching World Talks here on TVP World. And now on to the US presidential election. Since President Joe Biden abandoned his re-election bid, a dramatic reversal in standing for the Democratic Party seems to have taken place. At the same time, several American media outlets have assumed a more critical stance on Donald Trump's presidential efforts. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are going neck and neck, so anything can happen. In a moment, we'll speak about this with Tomasz Płudowski, Associate Professor, University of Economics and Human Sciences in Warsaw. However, first, here's our report on the issue.
Trump's credibility is under fire from various media outlets. Compared to previous campaigns, this is a much more straightforward approach. Trump's most recent news conference was meticulously analyzed, and 7 lies were reported. Donald Trump lied when he said the storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021 gathered more people than Martin Luther King's speech did back in 1963. But will such dishonesty bother his voters?
So I think Donald Trump is going to have a more difficult time being convincing to the independent voters, who might be also growing tired of his rhetoric. The fact that he's being very aggressive, that he's being very personal in his attacks, that there's very little merit.
During his Palm Beach appearance, Trump also questioned his opponent's intelligence.
What you got?
She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country.
But the lack of credibility in Trump's claims breeds other issues the candidate is now facing. According to a new Morning Consult poll, 58% of responders believed Trump was in good health when he was running against Biden. That number is now down to 52%. Trump is now officially the oldest presidential candidate. The same age-targeting campaign that caused Biden to withdraw from the presidential race could come back to bite Trump.
He's the most popular Republican politician, and I don't think he wants to withdraw. He still has a chance of winning.
The age-focused narrative showcases the differences in how the two leading American parties operate.
I'd say that this is evidence that Donald Trump has hijacked the Republican Party, and that there's really nobody else that is equally popular, whereas the Democratic Party is that. It is a Democratic Party, and you can easily imagine one candidate being replaced by another.
Moreover, Kamala Harris's new running mate offers a great balance for the Democratic candidate.
She's perceived also as a radical, as a left-wing radical, which she is really not. She represents mainstream social democratic European ideas or democratic American ideals. But she's portrayed as one, as a threat to the status quo. So somebody like Tim Walz, who represents just mainstream kind of working class, Midwest ideas and people, I think he was a good choice.
The next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
The presidential race is already a historic one, and we can surely expect more interesting developments to follow. For now, some of the latest polls show Kamala Harris taking the lead in 3 key states: Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
Tomasz Płudowski, Associate Professor, University of Economics and Human Sciences in Warsaw. Good morning, sir. Delighted to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
So we've just heard you say that the kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump uses could be problematic. Do you think that he will tone this down?
I don't think so. I mean, he's used to having this rhetoric, and he's seen it effective. It basically worked for him whenever he ran, and I don't think he can do otherwise. I mean, he's a bully, politically speaking. He uses very strong, aggressive, personal rhetoric. He attacks his opponents, including women, very personally on stage. Remember him saying about Hillary Clinton standing next to her during one of the debates, "What a nasty woman." So, I mean, he's used to that. He threatens people, he bullies people, and he refrains from using talking about issues for the most part. Or if he does that in a very general manner. So I think he's going to stick to his method because it's been effective. for him so far, but it might be that the audiences are getting tired of it slightly. Obviously, some of them only, a minority, I would say. I mean, half of his opponents obviously don't accept that, but he has diehard supporters and they are not going to change their minds. But the independents might see the contrast between him and Kamala Harris as larger than between him and Joe Biden. I mean, she marks a stark contrast. She's basically his opposite.
Right, that is certainly true, and things have taken a pretty dramatic and positive turn for the Democrats over the last several weeks. So do you think that this is a lasting change, the fact that Kamala Harris enjoys more support than Joe Biden did?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts, whether the newness doesn't wear off. Obviously, it's in the interest of the Democratic Party to see this change as being stable, rather than just being the effect of a new candidate appearing. Traditionally, campaigns are rather long in the United States. I mean, they start in the first primaries start in early January, and the election day is in early November. So candidates have a long time to get used to the candidates. The media have a long time to screen candidates, and then what comes out is more long lasting. What we've seen now is basically 3 weeks of a campaign. We've had the candidate for vice president only for 1 week, and there's 2-3 months left until November 5th. So we don't know to what degree this the ratings of the popularity of the candidates is stable, and to what extent it's not. So I think it's very difficult to predict, but she's definitely on the rise.
Right, and then some people say that the last several weeks have also been some of the worst for Donald Trump, for his campaign, that is. So do you think that he'll bounce back, he'll change something? What can we expect from the Republicans in the near future?
I think he's getting ready for the debate, and he's going to be very aggressive, very personal, very negative during the debate. And he changes his mind. He goes from refusing to debate to wanting 3 debates instead of 1. So I don't know to what extent it's his tactic, but I think he's going to be very aggressive during the debate and hope to bully her. And also, I mean, she's a mixed debater. She's obviously professional. She's in a good position to debate him on legal issues. It's a very interesting dividing line between the two of them. One being, there's more than one actually. One is abortion, especially between her and the candidate for vice president, who's very aggressive on abortion and very very pro-life, and she's obviously pro-choice. And the other one is the dividing line between the prosecutor, her being a prosecutor, a former prosecutor for California and the District 1 for San Francisco, and him being a convict and facing charges throughout the country. So I think she's in a good position to address those legal issues in a professional manner, and I think he's afraid of that. So he's attacking her on personal grounds. He's questioning her credibility. He's questioning her intelligence, IQ. So these are very low blows, very unstatesmanlike.
Right, and we've been concentrating on Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, but what about the vice presidential candidates? What about J.D. Vance and Tim Walz? How important are they for the possible choice?
Mm-hmm. I think he's a good choice to counter her candidacy, being kind of totally unthreatening to the average voter. She's projected as or painted as a threat, being a triple minority, first viable female candidate, and then African American and a Hindu candidate. So there's never been a president of that background, and also painted by Donald Trump as a left-wing radical. So he's a good Walz is a good counterweight to that, because I mean he's as American as a hamburger, so to speak, very unthreatening to the average voter, to the independent voter. And both him and Vance are more or less fighting or trying to appeal to the same kind of average American voter, not particularly left-wing, not particularly right-wing, but more or less a centrist voter, right? Obviously, admittedly, Walz represents left-wing ideas in the United States. In Europe, we would say they are social democratic ideals. But he comes across as very unthreatening. So I think it's going to be an interesting kind of like average guy, average folk. And he's trying to paint Vance as an elitist because he went to an elite university, he's very rich, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be an interesting debate as well, both the one between Harris and Trump and the one between candidates for vice president.
So many times during an election, the turnout is one of the most important things. So I wonder, what are some of the issues that will make people go and vote?
Mm-hmm. I think actually the choice of or the replacement of President Biden with Kamala Harris was a very good move because it motivated Democratic voters. So I think it is going to increase turnout. Or there's much more excitement among the electorate and Democrats after both actually candidates for both Harris and Walz. So this will, I think, slightly increase turnout, and this is this is very important for the Democratic Party because usually it's the opponent or the voters of the opposing party that have much more motivation to change whoever is in power. So I think that the Kamala Harris is in a good position to win. Still, she has a way to go. Pennsylvania, I mean, they are going head to head or neck to neck, and we'll have to watch the results very closely because they can be decided by any number of factors, even during the last days.
Right, but do you think that the Americans are ready for a female president?
That's an interesting question. I hope they are. I think they are because we've been talking about the female candidate for so long. The first candidate for vice president who was a woman came in mid-'80s, so it's been a while. Then Hillary Clinton tried to run, but I think she was very well prepared. She was professional. She was competent, but I think she might not have had the personality, a winning personality for enough voters. Also, she was the first one, so it's difficult really to be the first in anything. And now I think American voters might be ready for a female. Obviously, it's still a conservative country in many respects, and a lot of voters are traditional, and they'd rather see a traditional social order with men in power. But I think she can win.
That this would be very interesting indeed, especially for Kamala Harris, right? The first female vice president and potentially the first female president. Tomasz Płudowski, Associate Professor, University of Economics and Human Sciences in Warsaw. Thank you, sir, for being with us this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.